Good afternoon all. So I'm starting with the product what we have launched yesterday, Cosmic Common Smart IoT Connective, one based common service layer IoT platform. This product was developed from C-DAC Trivandrum. It is the product was it was under the entrance phase 2 program initiated by Ministry of Information Technology, and it was in line with the Atmanirbhar Bharat policy of Government of India. So Cosmic one based common service layer platform, it is intended for it's a middleware software which is intended for interoperability and data sharing between the IoT devices and applications. The motivation for developing this application is that the Inland Transportation Department of C-DAC has developed different products in ITS domain, and that is also in the field, but it is specifically not addressing any of the standards. Actually, we are doing our own proprietary standards. So nowadays, in the most of the RFPs coming through the smart cities, they are looking for the standards like US standards, UK standards, and all. So the one is one of the standard which is defined by the C-DAC, and it is intended for deployment in all the smart cities. So we thought of developing a common service layer platform which can be used for all the IoT device and applications which is developed under the transportation domain to this platform. So we have developed the common service layer platform, and we have developed the different adapters to convert our already available legacy system to the common service like the one platform. And it is like both the hardware as well as software adapters also part of it. So the software is ready for technology transfer right now, and it is mainly focusing on the command and control center for and the command and platform, means it can be used from this Cosmic platform. So why one we have used? Actually, it is providing the standard dedicated enabled horizontal platform. Now the deployments, all deployments are happening in a vertical level, and it will be coming as a silos. So it is also providing the secure storage mechanism, and the local and cloud deployment is also providing, and design in interworking different mechanism to interfacing different IoT devices to the applications are provided through the one The standard is specifying like that. So the salient features of our the product was, it is a single horizontal platform for all one IoT ecosystem, and it is compliant to the one standard common service functions, and it is enabled security and data privacy, and user management with a single sign-on, because different applications are attached with this one, having different levels of display as well as the configuration utility. So this is used to with a single sign-on. It can be we can traverse all the applications in this one. And we are providing the legacy IoT device integrations, both hardware as well as software. Adapters is part of, we are providing SDKs for this part of the delivery, and the user manage excuse me. Yeah, we are providing different configuration mechanism to interface the different applications to this platform, and it's the deployment is microservice based, so that depending on the functionality or the addition of different IoT units, this microservice deployment is possible for based on the number of IoT units are added to this platform. And it's suitable for these applications can be deployed in Docker level, as well as the cloud-based deployment is possible with that, and the technology is ready for deployment. Right now, it is in the TR level 7. The system prototype and demonstration is in operational environment that we have completed, and the actual system to prove this the platform, we have deployed with this field demonstration also done, but only thing is pending out of it is the system compliant and qualified, means that the certification is required to be done. So that is the thing, and once then it will be become the technology readiness level is 9 when we come. So this is the common service level functions which is required to be implemented as part of the one-term implementations. So it is covering all the functionalities of the CSF functions in our Cosmic platform. So this is the typical service layer which we have is like a overall architecture of the Cosmic. So the IoT units can be connected to the system through the different protocol levels, HTTP, MQTT, or COP, or the WebSockets kind of thing. So this will be communicating the transferring data in the XML level or JSON level, and the controllers which is developed as part of this one with subscription mechanism and the proxy mechanism, internet proxy entity mechanism, and the data forwarding, all these things are configurable, and that configuration also is part of it. Okay. So, and the resource manager which will be using for the containers to keep the data in the platform. So the secondary database is used for collecting the storing the data, and the applications and different type of applications also in one-term format, or the converted applications can be connected to our the application in one-term level. So this is a data flow, how it is the data flow is happening when HTTP request comes, and where it is going, and the data how it is stored, and what all the mechanism is happening through this one. That is through the data format is JSON or XML is possible with that. So this is the Cosmic peripheral level modules, which in addition to the Cosmic platform. So we have developed the SDKs and the libraries which can be used for converting any legacy system to the Cosmic platform in one-term format. So the AE application entity, we have the conversion modules, like the one part of this one will be converting to the Cosmic, the one-term platform. The other part is the legacy systems, which is in any protocol, anything that will be converted. So any system which is available in that one can be used, the software adapters, AE. And IP is the internet working proxy entity. This is also the mechanism we are making outside the Cosmic, so that also it can be communicated with the proprietary protocol and converting to the one-term format. ADN is the hardware one. Hardware also, any legacy system we can attach our IDNs, and the standards or the protocol formats which is given to that one, it will be automatically converted to the Cosmic. And the data which is coming to the Cosmic is collected through the applications will be logged into the secondary database, any format, MongoDB or any traditional database can be used. The reports or reports can be generated from the database which is logged. This is the typical deployment presently happening with the vertical scenario. All the applications are directly connected. When it becomes the one-term format, it is the individual IoT device is connected to the platform, and the applications also is independent of that, and it is connected, and the subscribe, the publish subscribe model, once it is subscribed to this one, it can be independently connected to any of the IoT device and get the data. Okay, so This is the hardware which we have developed for our traffic controller, which will be making our controller to become one-item format, and it can be connected to our Cosmic platform directly, and it can control, can provide the data through this one. So this is a typical use case for the traffic control ATMS solution. So the traffic controllers are connecting to the Cosmic, and the it will be the data is coming there. The traffic monitoring and management applications which is registered with the Cosmic will be get notified whenever there is an data from the controller is coming to the Cosmic. It is automatically notified, and the same way the control actions taking from the applications, that is also coming to Cosmic, and it is giving to the traffic controller. These are the different UI user interfaces are provided to the in the Cosmic system for the data, the device registration. The libraries which we have already given is giving the automatic registration and subscription is possible with that. But if any third party is connected to this one, we can have the user interfaces provided to connect to the system. This is the UI for the subscription and notifications, and how the which all products, which all IoT units or applications are connected to subscribe to which all the IoT devices can be seen through our notification window. This is a typical dashboard of Cosmic, which will be providing the product level, IoT level, and how many hits are happening to this one, and the area level, and how many infrastructure node, how many middle nodes are connected to this system can be seen from the dashboard, and typical different display units from the different parameters of the individual IoT device or applications can also be seen through the dashboard. So this is a typical use case too. An emergency vehicle comes, it is integrated with the traffic controller, and it will be coming to the control unit of the M-Server product, and that is directly connected to the traffic controller. That will be pushing data the Cosmic. The same data will be the traffic management monitoring and management software which is connected to the Cosmic will be seeing that the data is coming there. The same way, the same data will be used for the smart signage. It will be so the interoperability will be proved from this use case. So this is a typical lab setup what we have done. Connecting all the different systems, and 19 devices and simulators, 4,517 simulator data, and that will be the total will be connected to your Cosmic system, and we have tested the total is a different data. The field deployment what we have done, we have the Hubli, our ATMS solution is implemented there, and the C-DAC system having that Cosmic system. So we have the 4,519 data will be available in the Cosmic system with the simulator and the other devices. And we have collected the data from the Hubli, which is the ADN is connected to the Hubli controller, and the data is coming to our system. So we didn't find out any latency for getting the data from the Hubli, and we can operate from remotely from our C-DAC through this Cosmic platform. So this the same system was deployed in the Amazon also, and the same with the simulation environment we have tested in Amazon web service, and the cloud platform we have created like this. So the performance evaluation what we have done, we have 3,000 threads we have created and pushing the data to the common service platform. And we are getting with around more than 14,000 something. If you increase the number of threads, we are getting the response is sometimes it is failing. But up to the 3,000, we are for a particular middle node, we are seamlessly the request response is possible with that. So finally, what we have concluded that for a individual M1 middle node, we can handle 1,500 junctions. So we will have a sufficient buffer to handle the request and response for each data will be coming there. So this is a typical smart city blueprint. The Cosmic they will be the front-ending all the smart city platform. All the data from the applications or IoT devices are collecting the data through the Cosmic, and the Cosmic will be providing whoever is required to get the data. So the roadmap for the future plan is like a demonstration of the product and publishing ontology of the ITS product, and start with the C-DAC traffic controller. So the once we the ontology is published, all others can adopt to the their controllers data, and it can be pushed to our Cosmic platform that will be that can be used for the smart city deployment, and interact with the other 1M2M based the frameworks developed by different agencies, and interacting with our system and how it will be communicating. That will be another step, and certification of Cosmic for the smart city deployment. And already other different sensors are available with the C-DAC that also need to we need to convert to 1M2M platform. And the data storage which is available in secondary database can be used for the data analytics and the behavioral analysis, and the TOT for the Cosmic. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So that was the details of 1M2M based software framework which was developed by C-DAC. Now we move on to the last presentation of this conference actually. So this is again an online session, online presentation. So it is titled Overview of 1M2M Testing, Certification and Deployments. It will be delivered by Mr. Xavier Piednoir. So Mr. Xavier, if you can confirm that you can hear me or not.
Sorry, yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, thanks for responding, yeah. So
you should actually be able to see me as well. I don't know if my background is...
You are visible, sir, yeah. Can you make it full screen, sir, the presentation?
Sure. Just switching between apps.
Okay, I'll just introduce you, sir.
Yeah.
So Mr. Xavier Piednoir is a technical expert at the Center for Testing and Interoperability under the European Telecommunications Standards Institute, HC for short, where his main focus is the work of the 1M2M Global Partnership. He has a strong technical background, being an expert in the smart card technology, the standardization of which he was involved for 15 years, as an expert for Orange, and later on as a technical officer in HC. He has also developed a solid experience in global relations, having managed both HC's partnership portfolio and projects for cooperation and outreach. I welcome you, sir, to deliver the presentation. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. First, I would like to really congratulate Mr. Gopal and C-DAC for this creation of the Cosmic platform. The presentation just made before mine was really, really interesting, and I really hope that in 1M2M we can echo, let's say, the birth of that platform and give it the visibility it deserves. On my end, today I will be talking about 1M2M testing, certification, and deployments. I will start. I understand many of you are familiar with the 1M2M as a set of standards, but still I will give a very short introduction, reminding people that 1M2M is a global partnership, which has been basically built between SDOs, regional standard development organizations, as well as industry associations and fora. Its goal has always been to create, to bring interoperability in the IoT world, to create consistency in the way various devices, servers, and applications at different layers communicate through one common service layer. And the goal is, of course, to bring the interoperability, to reduce the fragmentation, and to create also a larger market, which in turn creates also economies of scale and a cost-effective set of products. This also allows for more efficient sourcing and avoids vendor lock-in, of course, which is a benefit of all standards. It is a fully open and transparent process in which all the working documents are public, and it is also important to note that all of the specifications published by 1M2M are available free of charge, and this can all be found in the 1M2M website. So I was mentioning that this is a global initiative, and that global initiative gathers various players in the world, each coming from different regions, and the tactic, if I may say so, was always that by joining forces, then we would have a kind of a global coverage through this regional presence. In India, the partner and main representative in 1M2M is TSDSI, and in the close to 240 members in 1M2M, I think, over 60 come from India. So it's a very important contributor to the 1M2M set of standards, which has also gained international recognition through transposition by ITUT under this Y 4500 series. Next thing is a reminder of what 1M2M brings. Again, a very simple thing. We know that IoT is always about assembling systems together to create even more complex systems. And unfortunately, those systems, I mean, there is, of course, a lot of legacy systems, and those systems are often built in silos, which are ultimately creating barriers between various elements of a complex system, like a smart city, for example, where, ultimately we end up having duplication of elements, I would say, plus different data structures and things like this, as well as the inability to communicate or exchange information between silos. What this common service platform brings is the ability for information to flow across silos, and therefore for silos to leverage the knowledge acquired through the other silos in order to create more complex and more, let's say, relevant systems. And the goal is to provide interoperability both in the communications and in the data. But however, what I need to highlight here is that 1M2M is not bringing a pure connectivity solution. It is intended to work over the existing connectivity solutions and actually to be independent of the transport layer. So let's move to the bulk of the presentation today. I think it is important to stress that 1M2M has an offering which is a complete package, and we go basically from the requirements to the architecture, to the technical solution, to testing and guides for the users and the implementers. This is something which really matches the development process and allows us to have not only a very transparent set of specifications which allow people to understand where things come from, but also which allow us also to create the necessary set of information which is required for successful product development. What we wanted to focus on today is testing, and as we all know, it is crucial to have this testing phase when developing and deploying products, because it allows us to ensure that the products offer the level of functionality and the level of interoperability that we need for the targeted application. So in 1M2M, we have kind of two sets of testing specifications, and one is targeted at conformance testing, which allows us to verify compliance of an implementation with what the specifications describe and mandate. And the other one is the interoperability testing, which is important to verify what happens when we put multiple devices and multiple systems together. I think it is important to stress that there are differences between conformance and interoperability testing, because and that these two approaches are complementary. Indeed, it can happen, for example, that two products are interoperable, but they are not really compliant with the specification. And in the other way, we could have products that are compliant with the specs, but which are not interoperable. What we see is that interoperability is by putting products together, allows us to understand if the quality of our specifications is sufficient to avoid any ambiguity, and in order to allow a good implementation. Because implementations ultimately reflect the understanding and the interpretation of the specifications by the product implementers. And we know that we are not dealing with stupid people, if I may say so. I mean, these are very competent people who implement the products, and if we end up having interoperability issues, it's the result of the specifications not being clear enough. And that gives us a very interesting and very useful feedback loop in order to improve the standard. So in the phase where the standard is still being developed and where there are early implementations of products, interoperability testing is something that helps us improve the overall set of standards together. And ultimately, when the standards are very, very stable, interoperability issues are usually ironed out, and then we can rely on conformance testing to verify that this compliance is present and allows us to put the products on the market. So next thing, in 1M2M, the question is, as for any product, what to test? Because 1M2M is a set of specifications that is describing a lot of features. And these features are covering many use cases, many applications. They could be targeting server side or client side. So basically, not all of these features may be needed in a given product. And that's why we have listed on one hand the whole set of features that are described in 1M2M in a specific document, which is the technical specification 0031. And then what this gives us basically the overall menu, if I may say, for the features in 1M2M. And based on this menu, and depending on the product which is targeted, then we'll need to select which items in the menu will need to be supported. And so there is this need to profile this catalog of feature in order to come to the desired subset for the product that is targeted. And this is a work that has been done in what we call the products profile. I know it's not super surprising name. And this is found in 1M2M Technical Specification 0025. And this document is a very helpful document because on one hand, it helps the manufacturers understand what subset of features needs to be implemented for the product that they are targeting. And it also helps identifying ultimately which are the elements which will need to be tested during the life or the development of the product, and even at the stage of certification. So the product profiles are really a very important element in order to know what needs to be supported. So in the test specifications in 1M2M, I think it's important to highlight that there are basically, here I have a very simplified view, let's say, of the set of 1M2M specification in blue, because I reduced the whole thing to the functional architecture and the core protocol. But of course, there are many more technical specifications that come and complement this core. And basically, for all the features that are described in the set of specification of 1M2M, we have to develop a matching test case to verify that the feature is implemented correctly. And so this is done in TS 0018, which describes the test purposes. And it has a companion, which is the TS 0019, where we have a more abstract test suite. And I will come back to this very soon. This is what we have for conformance testing. And the interoperability testing is something which is addressed in TS 0013. And what I mentioned earlier, which I call the helpers, is the feature catalog and the product profile. These are found in TS 31 and 25. And so, yes, we have this TS 0018 that really collects the use cases, the test cases, and there is the goal is to have a one-to-one match between the features described in the core set of specifications and the matching test case. And here the test cases are described in a very human readable way, and the goal is to be able to really to explain where we come from, what we want to test, and what result we expect when undergoing the test. TS 0019 is a bit of a different animal because it is something that provides a basis for some kind of executable code base, which is meant to be run by testing equipment. And it is described in something which is called TTCN3, which means Testing and Test Control Notation, in its third version, and which is a standard which was actually developed in ETSI, and which allows to have testing independent of the testing equipment and independent of the underlying protocols. And the idea is really to offer predictability, a way to reproduce testing in a very good way. And this is all developed in an open source approach. And you have here a link to the repository to find these code base for the testing. And on the side, we have TS13, which really is, as I explained already, comes to reinforce what I call the theoretical interoperability that compliance will provide. And theoretical is something that we should say more in the early phases of the development of the standard, because, again, in theory, we should have compliant devices that provide the interoperability that was targeted in the first place. But in the early phase of the development of the standards, there are still a lot of open elements regarding how things are described, how they can be interpreted, and the goal is to take input from real life, to put implementations together and create that feedback loop in order to create the better quality of the standard. And all of this ultimately creates the basis for certification. And so there is a 1M2M certification program which is building on this material that we just mentioned. And that certification for 1M2M was first developed in Korea in 2016 in order to accompany the national adoption of 1M2M and the projects building on that set of standards. And there was a need for certification at the time to come and complete, let's say, the steps needed for the implementation of those projects using 1M2M. And so TTA, which is the if I may say, the TSDSI of Korea, took the initiative to develop this initially national certification program, but which really served as a blueprint to go international and global with the 1M2M certification program that was established later in partnership with the Global Certification Forum. And this was the birth of this 1M2M certification program. It is, I think, very important to mention that certification is really building on the testing material that is developed within 1M2M. So if we find out that some things are not covered, it will not be GCF defining new test cases or refining them. It is fed back to 1M2M, and the specs are updated, and then GCF basically refers to those specifications to say these tests and these tests and this test has to be passed by the equipment under test. And actually, I mean, we have a very fruitful relationship with GCF, and we could benefit from the best practices that they have in place, and also from the experience we gained from 3GPP, where, for example, GCF suggested that we build this feature catalog and also the product profiles. In 3GPP, it's a bit different because in the test specifications, you will find something which is called the Applicability Table, where basically some devices will see some tests marked as mandatory and some others marked as optional, and this helps deciding what needs to be tested when undergoing certification. Next one is just to give you a link to the GCF web page and section of the website where they deal with the 1M2M certification. You will find all information there about how they run this certification program. Again, in ETSI, we have forever actually decided not to be an actor of certification, because we don't want to be judge and party to that exercise. And so we have a close link to certification because we develop the material that certification reuses in order to be performed, but we keep that activity separate, and this is for partners like GCF and others to perform as they see fit. In the GCF website, you will also find a repository of certified products. So when products undergo certification with GCF and obtain certification from GCF, then they are listed on the website, and there is information provided you will see that also in the 1M2M, section 1M2M section of the GCF website. And here I provide you with a set of contacts in order to, if you need to get involved in defining test cases for 1M2M, if you need to get more information about conformance testing, or if you need to be involved in the certification part. So we have our contact in GCF, in TTA as well, and at the top, these are the officials of the testing group within 1M2M. And of course, all contributions or comments or suggestions coming from members or even non-members are welcome, because they help us further develop the standard and basically raise the bar. But in India, again, I remind you that TSDSI is your main entry to 1M2M activities. Regarding deployments, and I want to keep within time, I just wanted to highlight that the 1M2M project is trying to maintain a list of deployments, but I have to give it some kind of disclaimer here, because our goal here is to gather information available about deployments, but it is only fed on a voluntary basis by different different providers, and also coming from announcement that we basically scan through on a regular basis. There are many other products that, for example, use 1M2M internally or as one of their technical building blocks, and sometimes it is not advertised and therefore might not be captured in that list. But still, you have a link here to access this, where you can see the various geographical areas and what implementations you might find there. Below that map on the website, you will see a list and more info about the implementations. I think that's all on my side. Of course, if you have questions, I can try and address them or redirect you to some of my colleagues within the Center for Testing and Interoperability in ETSI. And I would like to thank you for your attention.
Thank you, sir. The floor is open for questions. So if the audience is having any questions, you can directly ask him.
I don't see questions, but feel free to use the contacts here.
Hello?
Yes?
Is there any agency in India for certifying 1M2M devices?
Sorry, can you repeat, please?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Is there any agency in India for certification common cellular and IoT devices?
I think this is what I described for in the case of TTA in Korea. I mean the national adoption of 1M2M and the subsequent need for certification is very much what India is going through at the moment. There is, I think there are steps that are currently being taken by the Telecom Engineering Center in order to develop that testing certificate, 1M2M certification in India, and if I understand correctly, as part of it, there will be designated labs and agencies in India, but this is really work in progress at the moment. And I really, I think you can get more accurate information directly from the people from TEC. I'm just repeating what I heard.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful talk and for sparing your time and enlightening us on the testing and certification aspects of the 1M to M standard. So with this, we have come to the end of all the technical sessions in this conference. Now, as a token of appreciation for our offline speaker in this session, I request Shri Rajesh KR, Scientist F at C-DAC Trivandrum, to hand over the memento to Shri Vinay Goyal. Thank you, sir. So we'll break for tea now. And I request all the delegates to assemble back in this hall at 4:10 p.m. So we'll have our final event, that is a panel discussion on transportation challenges and opportunities for Indian smart cities. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, and welcome you all to this final event of this conference, which is a panel discussion on transportation challenges and opportunities for Indian smart cities, which marks a befitting end to this two-day conference. And we are very fortunate to have with us 6 eminent members from the industry, research community and academia to participate in this discussion. It's my privilege to introduce each and every panel member to all the delegates and guests present here. Firstly, we have Dr. Samson Matthew, who will be acting as the moderator of this panel discussion. Dr. Samson Matthew is the director of NATPAC for the last 2 years. He was the Dean Student Affairs, Student Welfare at the National Institute of Technology, Tiruchirappalli. He joined NIT Trichy in the year 1994 and is currently the Professor of Civil Engineering. His teaching and research areas include transportation planning, traffic engineering, road safety, pavement management and ITS. He has published several papers in national and international journals and conferences. He has successfully completed 10 projects sponsored by MHRD, Government of India, National Rural Road Development Agency, COA Board, etc. He is also actively involved. Okay. And he has also delivered expert lectures in many leading institutions in South India as well as in foreign countries like Singapore, Netherlands, Hong Kong, to name a few. I invite you, sir, to this panel discussion. Next, we have Dr. Velmurugan S. He is serving as the Chief Scientist at CSIR CRRI with a demonstrated history of working in the field of road safety audit, traffic engineering, and transportation planning. He has strong research professional with a PhD coupled with postdoctoral research stints at University of Antwerp and University of South Australia. He was the joint course coordinator for the conduct of a 15-day certification course on road safety audit and other associated traffic engineering aspects, which was supported by MORTH, Government of India. He has served as the champion of the CSIR sponsored research study titled Indian Highway Capacity Manual, which was recently released by Mr. Nitin Gadkari, of Minister in Government of India. I welcome you, sir, to this panel discussion. Our next eminent speaker is Dr. Ashish Varma. Dr. Ashish Varma is the convener of IISc Sustainable Transportation Lab, IIST Lab for short. He holds a PhD from IIT Bombay and is currently serving as a Professor of Transportation Systems Engineering at Department of Civil Engineering, IISc Bangalore. His research interests are in sustainable transportation planning and policy, integrated public transport planning and management, transport and quality of life, etc. He has authored more than 212 research publications, including more than 85 journal publications in the area of sustainable transportation. He is the founding and immediate past president of the Society Transportation Research Group of India. He is presently serving as steering and scientific committee member of World Conference in Transport Research Society. Welcome you, sir, to this panel discussion. Our next speaker is Dr. Geeta Krishnan Ramadurai. Dr. Geeta Krishnan Ramadurai is an associate professor in the Transportation Engineering Division, Department of Civil Engineering, IIT Madras, and a core faculty member in the Robert Bosch Center for Data Science and AI at IIT Madras. He received his PhD in Transportation Engineering from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, USA, and MS in Civil Engineering from University of Texas at Austin. His primary research interests are in network modeling, dynamic traffic simulation and assignment, intelligent transport systems, vehicular emissions, urban freight, etc. He is a recipient of New York Metropolitan Transportation Commission's September 11 Memorial Program Fellowship Award in 2007-8. He has advised Chennai Port Trust, JNPT, Kolkata Port Trust, and CITCO, to name a few. I welcome you, sir, to this panel discussion. Yeah. Our next speaker is Shri Tarashin. Okay, just a minute. Our next speaker is Dr. Vinay Goyal, IAS, District Administration Commissioner, Smart City Thiruvananthapuram Limited. He is also the CEO of Smart City Thiruvananthapuram and Managing Director of Trivandrum and Calicut Metro and District Development Commissioner of Trivandrum. Shri Vinay Goyal is a 2015 batch IAS officer of Kerala Cadre. Shri Vinay was a doctor before he began a civil service career and continues to practice medicine. He joined IAS in 2015 and was assistant collector at Thrissur before becoming sub-collector of Tiruvalla. He has worked as nodal officer for COVID-19 management in 2 districts, overseeing 24/7 working of COVID-19 war room, availability of hospital beds, etc. I welcome you, sir, to this panel discussion. Our next eminent speaker is Shri Tarashin Garcia, sir. He did his graduation in Electronics and Communication Engineering. He took advanced training in process control and automation at University of Bremen, Germany. Recently superannuated from MIT as Senior Director. He has more than 30 years of experience in technology and systems development, management of R&D projects, and commercialization of technology in different technology domains such as process control and automation, power electronics, intelligent transportation systems, medical electronics, agriculture, etc., to name a few. I welcome you, sir, to this panel discussion. Now I request our moderator, Dr. Samson Matthew, sir, to take over the session.
Good afternoon to all. My fellow panelists, the audience. In fact, as you know, yesterday and today we have been discussing about the intelligent transportation systems, and we have seen a good number of developments in India as well as abroad, and we could see healthy discussions on the products, the applications, etc., etc. And the task for this session is the panel discussion on challenges and opportunities for smart transportation systems in India. The time schedule we were supposed to wind up by 5:20. That means exactly 1 hour time only. And of course, the discussion started almost 1 week back by Madam itself. We formed a group and a lot of the discussions happened. So there is like a framework is set and a platform is set for the discussion. And of course, the panelist, we have a well experienced, starting from Tarashin like a senior most the member in this panel with experience, and he can show good number of examples in the field and demonstrate that. We have 2 academicians, Professor Geeta Krishnan and Dr. Ashish Varma, well experienced, and working in the field of ITS, and real applications they are working. And we have my friend CRRI, scientist, principal senior scientist, Velmurugan. Of course, I know IT, his applications in the IT side. No, I was listening to his lectures for at least 10 years back itself. He is here in that one, and I'm looking for like field applications, real life field applications. And Dr. Vinay Goyal, of course, who is really implementing that one in the field in the form of the smart city. And we have a rich panel with us, and I'm sure that this panel discussion will be very fruitful, and which will consolidate what the discussions we had in last 2 days. And without wasting much time in this one, I will straight away go to the questions. I thought we'll have 2 rounds of discussions to the panelists, so that each can take about 4 to 5 minutes. And at the end, probably from the audience, if you would like to have some questions and discussions on that one, that also we will finish it. But at the same time, 5:20 we want to finish it, because the Ashish Varma would like to catch the flight at 8 o'clock. So I'll be very strict in monitoring the time. Sarah, with your experience in the ministry and in the government, my question to you is, National Urban Transportation Policy 2014 encourages adoption of ITS technologies in the field of transportation to augment the facilities provided. What are the initiatives taken by Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India, in the recent past for the development and implementation of ITS technology in India?
Thank you very much, Mr. Samson. Really, it's a very good subject, and this ministry way back in 2007, 2008, it felt a need that some solution can be electronic and IT-based solution can be provided to ease out the traffic jams, free flow of traffic, and also the travelers they should feel satisfaction and very ease and comfortable travel. So in that line, we had a discussion with all stakeholders, and we came out with a program in which a lot of IT and electronics can be utilized, and systems can be developed. So in the first round, we conceptualized around 6-7 broad technologies, out of which our 4 or 5 they became popular and became commercialized also, and being used in today's smart cities and other cities also. Basically, these technology comprises of development some parking solutions, because everybody nowadays, when it comes out of from the home, the first problem is where I will park my vehicle. So from just starting from the home, they can plan when they are reaching there, what is the parking slots available to them. This parking solution provides them all kind of solutions and ease of going there and doing shopping or whatever work they have there. Then we have the counting of vehicle in any city is a big issue actually. So exact number of counting and the classification of vehicle, that was also a solution provided by using the cameras and IR based detectors, and we have seen that it has shown a very good efficiency of counting up to 70%, which was considered as one of the best count as an average by the Indian Road Congress and others. So then we have a wireless control system, which came or supposed to be almost about level 4 of automation. We call it adaptive traffic control system, where it sends the incoming traffic and allow the other traffic to flow smoothly. And the special beauty of this particular system is this takes care about the Indian conditions, where roads are flowing with the heterogeneous traffic. We have got all sort of vehicle. Sometimes we can see the reverse flow of traffic also. So it takes care about all those kind of conditions. It has been very successful, and even today in many of the cities, including Delhi also, it is being used, and traffic control has been eased out up to much extent, although I cannot say completely it has been eliminated, but definitely it has been eased out. Then we have got, some new persons come to a city and he is not aware of where to go and what are the mode of transport. In real time, we have come out with a solution that any person he goes to from place A to place B in any city, he can find out what are the modes available, how much will be the fare, what will be the carbon footprint he is going to take out of it, and then he can reach within the time. This particular system even doesn't require sometime if you don't have the internet also, then the statistical waste of analysis will also provide you the information kind of a thing. Then similarly, like Google is showing now the way you have to reach from place A to place B, that kind of system way back we have developed, and also pilot implementation was done in Chennai city, covering a big corridor. It has also shown good result, and it was showing a way which is the fastest along with time constraint and all. So this particular developments and practice, it is still continuing, and based on the success we have taken the remaining component, some of the remaining component of technology development. Out of the 3 components, they have been just released yesterday, and some more component, one of them is the thermal camera and the camera for the industrial uses. Even today, almost about 90 to 95% cameras, they are being imported, and especially from China, where quality and others have not been assured. So we are coming out with the economical brand of cameras with lot of reliability, security, and strategically safe. That will be coming, and 2 more products they will be coming soon, which will be sharing with the all audience and I can assure you that the development out of it, although they are ITS, but we have got certain more development which can be used for the smart city and the other city requirement also. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's a very encouraging application-wise developments in India. Yes. Now, I will go to Professor Giridharakrishnan. Of course, he is having a lot of the research at IIT Madras, and that group is working along with C-DAC. Professor, my question to you is, traffic management is essentially adjustment of the demand and capacity of the traffic network in time and space to better match the traffic demand and supply. Based on your research experience, what are the ITS-enabled traffic management technologies that can be implemented to improve the situation in India? Also, what all techniques can be adopted using ITS for the safe and efficient use of transport network? It can be a continuation of what Tarashin Garcia mentioned.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Yes, in fact, Professor Tarashin Garcia actually spoke about the project and giving information, right? So that's something that we had carried out at Chennai. But first, I want to respond to that, point you raised about demand and supply, right? The interactions. So we need to understand that better. We cannot build our way out of congestion. So internationally, it's been proven that the more you build, the more traffic it attracts, and so congestion is always there. Tarashin Garcia was saying, we couldn't eliminate congestion, but I think nobody can ever eliminate congestion. I think it is something that is always going to be there. So we need to first acknowledge the fact we cannot build out of congestion, right? So there's a lot of emphasis placed on building multi-level flyovers and expanding road networks and so on. It is going to only give us temporary relief, and eventually it's going to come back to a congested scenario again, right? So that is something first we need to understand. So what can we do? Do we just say, sorry, no solution available? I think that is where we need to do better traffic management. So with whatever resources we have, are we using it to the best possible level, right? That's what we need to look at. And related to this, over the last 10 years or so, I think the Intrans program and other research as well has focused on developing technology for Indian conditions. So this starts from developing sensors to collect traffic data in India. It includes specific traffic applications, be it signal control, be it providing information, and so on. So all of these have actually right now brought us to a situation where we can have continuous awareness of the traffic state in the entire city. So a lot of it is now, of course, crowdsourced, and we are actually relying on Google and other companies. But if we can actually get this data into our own databases and have the smart cities, for example, if they can maintain a database of what is the traffic situation in the city historically over days, weeks, months, and so on, that data, as well as all the sensors we enable, can take us to a stage where we can manage congestion very scientifically and very efficiently and fairly. The key is fairness. So we should not be biased towards one category of road users alone. It is something that everybody has to share, and that can happen only if we have very good data. And I think what has happened in the last 10 years or so has laid the base for us to take this further. In particular, I want to highlight this idea of fairness. So public transportation is something that is considered a common man's transport, right? So we need to encourage more the use of public transportation, and private transportation is something that is actually occupying a lot more space for one person driving the vehicle, or so there has to be appropriate price for private transportation as well. Sir spoke about parking. Even parking is not charged correctly, right? We need to have the right charging for parking, the right charging for using the road transport, which is a limited resource. All this is kind of something we call as congestion pricing or parking pricing. All of this can be done more efficiently with ITS, and that is where I feel we need to go as a next step with whatever work we've done so far. Then we'll be able to better manage, encourage public transport, and charge private transport appropriately, so that we can do better. We can make more improvements. One other point I want to make is about the cost-benefit analysis. So, for example, in the project we did in Chennai, we found within a year and a half to 2 years, we get the benefit of whatever we had invested in terms of fuel saved, in terms of time saved. So ITS is something which gives return on investment within 2 to 3 years. Whereas if you build a road, right, the return on investment may take 15, 20 years, right? After collecting toll for such a long period, that is when we get ROI. So this is something that I think we need to keep in mind. Invest in ITS because returns are immediate. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kita. Now to continue the discussion on the public transport, my question is to Professor Ashish Varma. To move into an era of smart transportation in India, thrust is on better infrastructure, sustainable public transport system, and implementing urban mass mobility schemes to efficiently provide mobility services to ever-expanding cities. Are public transport systems in India good enough to persuade personal motor vehicle users to use them? If not, what can be done using ITS technology to drive this shift?
Thanks, Professor Samson. Yeah, just continuing with the thoughts that Professor Geeta Krishnan mentioned, that just build, supply-based approach has proved to be inefficient, not working, and proving to be a very short-term solution at a huge price. The amount of investment that goes in road widening or constructing flyovers is mammoth, but the returns are very less and for very short time. So that's certainly not the way. Traffic management is one way, of course, to optimize the existing capacity. But the other way, as Professor Geeta also pointed out, is to nudge the behavior of people towards using public transport or adopting other sustainable modes like walking and cycling, which brings the space efficiency, which brings the efficiency of reduction in tailpipe emissions from the motorized mode, which brings also reduction in the dependence on fossil fuel. In today's global environment, we are all feeling the pinch of the rising fuel prices, and so reducing our dependency on fossil fuel for our mobility needs definitely is the way forward, and to make us more resilient from these external environment and the situation across the globe. Now, whether the public transport system in India is good enough, yes, that's where I think the issue are. None of the systems in India in any city, I would really say is to an extent where one can find it an attractive option for many people, especially among the choice riders, those who have choice of choosing or taking their personal modes or other modes versus public transport modes. There are still a lot of service gaps, even among captive riders. Due to basic aspects of service gaps, there is huge social and economic cost that we actually induce on many low-income families. Students not able to go to their education places, daily wage workers are not able to arrive late at places because of the service gap. So there are a lot of these things that need to improve. And yes, as Geeta said, technology-enabled ways to bring this efficiency is one of the ways to improve this attractiveness. So the bottom line is, can we make the public transport a seamless option to travel? And in this whole pandemic environment, we have also realized the need for contactless, travel. So seamless and contactless travel is where I think a lot ITS can do to make public transport attractive and nudge the behavior of people towards using it. And a lot of technology aspects, and in the multimodal environment in many mega cities that we have, we need to have information systems that cut across modes, provide integrated information to passengers as one attraction point for people to be able to use public transport system, not just static passenger information but also dynamic passenger information across modes. Likewise, the service planning and the service integration. A lot can happen, not just in the static environment but also in the dynamic environment, which can enable. So in the early today, Vijay was talking about mobility as a service, which is definitely a thing to look in the future, not just bringing all the public transport modes together, but also the other modes, app aggregators, the bike sharing systems and other kinds of modes which can come, all of them can come on single platform. I think that's something that we really need to develop as a proof of concept, demonstrate it for some city and see how it can be scaled in several other cities. But to reach to that level, which is of course ambitious, we should at least first see how all modes, all public transport modes within one city, we can bring them on one platform. That itself remains a challenge presently. I think that could be a good attraction point for passengers to be able to use public transport. Other than that, universal accessibility to public transport. Time and again we focus on not just the disadvantaged groups, in terms of income or gender, but also differently abled people. How do you make public transport universally accessible? I think a lot of technology intervention should also focus on the varying needs of different public transport users and how we can enable that, especially physically, challenged or differently able people. I think a lot of development can happen on that. Also, going further, make the public transport systems more dynamic, more demand responsive. Karthik was highlighting in one of the questions today that why don't we move from a very fixed kind of public transport system to more demand responsive. And again, when you try to make it real time and demand responsive, there's a lot of ITS applications that are required to enable that kind of public transport system to happen. Incentivization of public transport use is again an important aspect to bring attractiveness in the use of public transport. More and more people use public transport. How we can create a system where they can be incentivized, just like frequent flyer, schemes or points that you get on credit card use. Likewise, can we develop this kind of incentivization scheme, and not just for public transport, but also for say those who take cycle or walk as a mode. That's again, another prospective area where ITS can come in. Fare integration we have been talking about for quite long. We have this common mobility card. Hopefully, we can enable it more and more, make it better, not just in terms of bringing all different kinds of mode on one platform, but also different kinds of payment options onto one mode. And lastly, but I would say most important is to make women use public transport as much that we can bring technology-enabled safety aspects for, especially for women travelers in public transport, is also something I see a lot of scope. I'll stop here and we'll get back.
Yeah, and thank you, Ashish. Very valid and important points. Probably we'll come back to you with the next round in which the pedestrian the issues also we'll discuss. Now, based on this, the theoretical and or the research applications or the background, my question is now to our senior scientist, Dr. Velmurugan. With a surge in population and industrial development in all sectors, economic growth has been at an all-time high for India. And it is because of this rapid progress that India, especially the urban locale, has been witness to an increased number of automobiles ferrying around. What are the initiatives taken by the industrial sectors in the recent past for the development and implementation of ITS, enabled automobile technologies? Of course, a lot of development has taken place in the last 10 years. Probably you can give some brief on that.
Thank you, Professor Samson Matthews, and also I would like to thank the organizers of this conference on ITS for having invited me to share my views. See, as we know, as of 2020, like before the pandemic has set in, the number of registered vehicles in our country is around 300 million. So if you see, based on various studies done at CRRA or many other agencies, clearly stipulate that on an average, because we don't have the policy of deregistration, taking that on board and various studies done, around 65% of the vehicles are only in use. Because from that angle, if you see, that is the 60 to 65 is the total number of vehicles across the country is in use, and about 72% are two-wheelers. So now we are talking about ITS, means it is going to be the one which largely addressing a covered vehicle like a car or a bus or the trucks, because trucks are used for the GPS enabled operations. So wherein that comes under the interurban corridor. So since our focus is mainly towards urban context, the cars is the one which we are going to, cars and maybe to a large extent buses also, wherein it occupies maybe in a city not more than 1-2% of the total population of a vehicle population in that city. So if you see the ITS enabled automobile technologies, if you want us to speak specifically, the various ITS forms which we are talking here is trying to put this enabling of the vehicles with anti-braking systems and things like that, and also other sensor-based ones which we are talking about. So from that things, ITS penetration in the vehicles is not more than, I would say, 2 to 3%. If you see, that is the level of things. If you try to say specifically vehicle perspective, you don't see beyond that. And because the high-end vehicles invariably have it, and we try to go for other context to have it. So now coming to the these things from vehicle to infrastructure, these things, whatever has been done from the government perspective are many. Like if you, as already Mr. Tarashin Garcia has told about various initiatives are being taken. So that should be used to our advantage. Like one of the best examples which we can have is this Delhi is one of the city wherein the metered parking has been implemented in a very, very good manner. For every hour 20 rupees has been given. So that 20 rupees per hour, and which goes up to 100 rupees for the day. And that kind of things are there. So which will which has to be perhaps make it more deterrent. For instead of 20, maybe you make it 50 rupees, so that patronage towards this thing, usage of public transport will be getting enhanced in CBD of the city, or otherwise the locations where you expect larger footfall due to the usage of your personalized vehicles. That can be stopped. So that should be our strategy of using it. So because since you asked me this specific question, I'll stop with this.
Okay, okay, right. Thank you very much. Now, coming to the application side, of course, let's know Mr. Dr. Vinay Goyal. We are all looking for some good practical applications in my city, Trivandrum. Listen, we are looking for that, and he happened to be the CEO of that smart city, Trivandrum. Sir, what is the mechanism of transfer of development projects under smart city mission to urban local bodies for future maintenance and monitoring? Will the ULBs be equipped through capacity building, or will the existing SPVs continue under ULB after the funding of smart city comes to a closure? You can talk more on the smart city.
Yeah, this is on?
Yeah, on.
So, good evening all, and first of all, a big thanks from my side for having me invited here. It has been a privilege sitting among the best of the minds in the country. All are the experts in their field, sitting besides all profs and APs from IITs, Indian Institute of Science. So all these institutions are very much revered in our country. I'm a doctor before entering into services, so had I selected engineering services, definitely I would have tried for IITs and IISc. And last 2 days have been like a wonderful experience for me as a CEO and for my team as well. It's heartening to see the kind of discussions going on in different aspects of the projects which we are implementing in the field. Before answering specifically to the question which Sir has asked, I would quickly like to give a glimpse of the concept of smart city, so it will set the context for my answer. So Mission Smart City under Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, it started somewhere around 2014-15. So different cities were selected, so there are set parameters. Right now we are having 100 smart cities in India. All are selected in different rounds, so 5 rounds have happened already. Kerala mein we have 2 smart cities. Kochi is the one selected in the first round. Trivandrum happened to be selected in the third round. And when you see the projects which smart city is implementing, so there is no barrier as such. So you take any project, we tweak it, we make it smart, and it becomes a smart city project. So we have projects in the field of health, we have projects in the field of clean energy, we have infrastructure development project, we have smart road development project. So we are putting our foot into different fields. Now coming to your question per se, so right now what will be the future of smart city and how these projects will be transferred to the parent department, or smart city will itself take care of this? So there are 2-3 debates going on in the country right now. Today morning I met the secretary also, joint secretary also. So same kind of thought is running, like what will be the future of smart cities. So one thought is we have 100 smart cities, you finish this, you hand over the projects to the parent department or the urban local bodies, you move on. Second thing, there will be smart cities 2.0 also. So the concept of smart city, we start from a core, from the center of the city, and we try to expand outward. So this is the first phase where we have started now, and with more funding, with more support from Government of India, we are definitely eyeing for a smart city 2.0, where we will be expanding outwards from the core of our cities. So, and one main theme behind this smart cities, the smart city concept has to be self-sustainable. Cities should be able to generate funds to carry on these projects, to carry on the operation maintenance. So right now when we are tendering a project, like we tender it keeping in mind the 5-year O&M. So the vendor or the contractor has to do the O&M for 5 years. So after 5 years, smart city itself is supposed to take care of the project. So this is the field like where we are now thinking, where we are now investing, how to generate the revenue to make smart cities more sustainable, so that when we are transferring these projects to the urban local bodies or the parent department, we are not a burden on them. Like if I have developed a road, smart road, or any other infrastructure related project or intelligent transportation, once I transfer it to the urban local bodies, this should not become a burden. So now these kind of debates have also started in the different cities, how to generate the revenue. For example, we have a smart road. So there we can generate the revenue through the OFCs, underground OFCs, all the big OFC companies are there. We have smart parking system. We can start monetizing on that aspect. So it's like heartening to see the debates have started around those aspects also, how to make a smart city sustainable. And definitely like we're very hopeful we'll be getting this smart city 2.0 also with additional funding from Government of India, and where smart city will continue as an SPV which will be like taking up these projects. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, of course, you are given us an idea about how we will move forward. The second round, in continuation of what Vinay Goyal mentioned, Dr. Ashish Varma, now we will concentrate more on the solutions like pedestrians and cyclists, etc. and all. Now, you have done a wonderful project exclusively for the pedestrians. Based on that work, pedestrians are among the most vulnerable groups in traffic accidents. Why are the pedestrians at risk on roads? What measures can be taken to improve their safety using ITS, or what can be the role of these pedestrians in like a smart city concept?
Thanks, Professor Samson again. Yeah, of course. As the vehicles are increasing, space is getting captured by vehicles, so less and less space is left for pedestrians. More and more people are moving even for short trips to motorized vehicles, and so pedestrians have become minority in the urban environment, and that's what is making them vulnerable. And so with more vehicles and more space being given to them, less and less pedestrians, the chances of conflicts also keep increasing. And with extreme congested environments, we also see a lot of errant driving behavior, where two-wheelerists would also, keep occupying pedestrian space to cut short the queues and queue length, and move to the ahead. And at the same time, there is no agency I see in Indian cities which is responsible for enforcing the right of way of pedestrians. You have traffic police that takes care of enforcing the right of vehicles on the carriageway, but which is the agency which enforces the right of pedestrians on walkways? There is no single agency. So these are some of the reasons why they are vulnerable road users, and the data says it. We have churned the data for Bengaluru metropolitan region for several past years, looking at all the fatalities. At least 45% fatalities out of all the road fatalities are pedestrians, and it's a similar statistics in many other Indian cities. So talking about the ITS aspects, one is enforcing the right of way of pedestrians on footpaths, right of way of cyclists on cycle lanes. How can we bring technology into enforcing? Technology which is more cheaper, available and easy to use, so that we don't have to depend upon enforcing agencies to take this task, and based on their whims and wishes or their reluctance or keenness to do this enforcement job of pedestrian right of way or cyclist right of way. Why can't we have technology that helps do that effectively, so that the risk associated to pedestrians and cyclists in using them is reduced? That's one aspect. Of course, a lot of technology development that has happened through MIT and C-DAC and through these partner institutions. Most of them are focused on vehicular aspects. Even in terms of the safety, for example, the project that Professor Shivanandan has done, on driver assistance, is also primarily focused on vehicle-related driver assistance. Now, of course, to improve it and make it forward in terms of pedestrian warning and risk assessment and assisting drivers on those aspects. Of course, one needs to understand from data what kind of crashes or which vehicles being hitting pedestrians more and causing death or severe injuries, and focusing on those kind of conflicts into these driving assistance would also be a good targeted way to bring the improvement with pedestrian safety in the road environment. Other is, of course, understanding and mapping the hotspot, especially related to pedestrian risk and deaths, and creating a warning system based on that in a road environment. Even to help pedestrians navigate safely, if we can develop some kind of assistance systems for pedestrians. For example, the biggest nuisance that we have nowadays is pedestrians with headphones or pedestrians just engrossed in mobile all the time, and that itself causes a lot of risk. Sometimes they trample down, sometimes they don't see a vehicle coming in front, or they'll simply walk or cross the road while they are onto these devices and so on. Now, what do we do, and how do we bring a warning system for pedestrians themselves to alert them of the risk that they are getting into? So I'm just giving some examples of where we can bring technology into picture in improving the safety of pedestrians. Thanks.
Thank you, Professor. In fact, the pedestrians and cyclists to be addressed again at the city center, and how to address that one is a big question. And again, here Professor has mentioned about the data requirement. So my question to our Gita Krishnan, sir, what that does, the new technologies or the artificial intelligence or the the machine learning, all those such advanced technologies, how we can use that one in our ITS technologies to get the data or process the data, and how we can use that one effectively to the ITS applications where we can.
Yes, I think very, very important points raised, and we're talking about public transport use. That's also something that depends on how friendly your city is to pedestrians. Because most of the time, once you get on or off the bus, you have to walk some distance, right? So if you don't have good pedestrian infrastructure, that is definitely a problem. So one interesting thing that I want to bring about is, if you look at safety studies research over the last 3 to 4 decades, it has worked at a very aggregate manner. So it has looked at numbers as a whole, right, over a larger spatial aggregation or temporal aggregation. What has happened in the recent past is availability of data at a very fine temporal and spatial resolution, right? And again, the other aspect that has been lacking in safety research is we study when accidents have happened. We don't study or we don't collect data in locations where accidents never happened. So we seem to be missing, what are the good things in those locations which prevented accidents. We are only focusing on those places where accidents have happened. So we are missing out on what should be done, and we are only understanding what went wrong. Right? So these are, I think, a couple of things which are a gap in existing literature when it comes to safety. What the ubiquitous sensors and data that we have now is going to enable is a new paradigm in safety analysis, which will make it possible for us to study things at maybe even 10-meter resolution spatially, right, and data at every minute resolution. And we'll be able to come up with more specific causal analysis of accidents. And I believe this will help, very targeted interventions. We have a small pot of money. How do you use that money for maximum benefit? That we can answer better with this kind of much more fine resolution analysis, which is only possible because of data, which is being collected through the ITS systems. So that's one point that I wanted to bring up. The other aspect about autonomous driving and all this, I think we are still at least 2 decades away from having majority of vehicles as autonomous. Right. So till that happens, we're going to have a mixed traffic, and we need to see how we can get to, I think Professor Kinsha was mentioning yesterday, level 2, level 3, level 4, right? Those are things that we need to look at. And the major application of level 2, level 3, level 4 is in terms of improving safety. All right. So that's where I think we need to focus on. In India, we need to also think about two-wheelers because they are predominant, right? We can't only think about car ADAS, we need two-wheeler ADAS as well. So hardly any research happening on this in our country and in Asian countries as well. So if we can take a lead on that aspect, focusing on two-wheeler driver assistance systems, I think that will be something that will be very valuable because in cities in particular, 30-40% of accidents and fatalities are two-wheeler riders. So I think that's also something that we can take up.
Thank you, Gita. In fairness, I also wanted to share that in Kerala, 72% of the total accidents they are belong to that two-wheeler community, and that part we are not addressing. That is the pathetic situation of that one, and that part why the two-wheelers are going to the situations, or whether nobody is controlling that one. That's a major point to be discussed. Coming to the situations, my question to Velmurugan only. Like our build safe, adequate and holistic infrastructure for all citizens, including women, elderly and disabled, which in fairness, Ashish also mentioned that point. Also, the infrastructure network need to solve for all types of connectivity, urban to urban, probably maybe urban to rural or rural to rural. Like we are concentrating only on urban to urban connections only we are concentrating, but the rural problems also to be addressed. Yeah. What is the status of application of ITS technologies in India to address these issues? How can the initiatives proposed by the industries aid to address the challenges in transport sector in India in a holistic manner?
Yeah. Thank you once again. And as I was, since if I try to take back in the last 15 years, this ITS installation, ITS applications, in a sporadic manner, it has been done in a pilot projects, largely in most of the urban area. When I'll start with the rural context a little bit, because rural context is one thing which we started implementing since the concessionaire-driven projects came into place, wherein the government, like NHA projects and also the state highways, when they take up these concessionaire-driven projects, they try to do that intelligent traffic management system, wherein largely the surveillance cameras and which are put, and also variable message signs, which is essentially to be utilized for communicating the dynamic information, but they are unfortunately used to only for communicating the static information. And thirdly, they try to have the things for speed enforcement cameras, which are put again at the crash-prone location, the identified black spots. So these are the various locations they try to do it as part of the concessionary project in a highway context. Since you told in rural context, that is what right now we are doing it. And now the things are getting graduated a little bit in the urban context. When it comes, they are trying to go one level up, even the red light violation systems and things like that. So that is being done. And even the parking management system, which our CEO was talking about, making it a smart parking system is one thing. Even in 15 years back, when we tried to see in one particular project in Palika parking, after its implementation, from the economic benefits which we reaped out of is around 18%. Of course, the financial benefit, if you try to see, you may not get the return on investment directly immediately for that thing. But certainly, since the people are going to save time because they are going to understand through these variable dynamic signboards, wherein the space availability of the parking gets communicated. So even that taking queue out of it in 2014, even integrating with the on-street parking lots in the NDMC area. They have 14 parking lots in the NDMC area, they have integrated it, and so the information gets communicated about the space availability. So that way we can, if you try to do it by covering a range of parking spaces, be it on street or off street, then we may get on return on investment also over a period of time. And if you try to see the fuel consumption and all those things you try to calculate, certainly you may get benefit also over a period of time from the things. And another major area where we have made a big leap, I would say, is in the electronic toll collection, wherein government's intervention has played a huge role, like this FASTag system which has come, and though the implementation, unfortunately, people are still concerned about losing the money, they just ask you to go at 5 or 10 kilometer speed. But the technology which is on the ground is really a foolproof technology, and now they are thinking of graduating to the GPS fenced thing, GPS tolling. So that is another level. So that way, even some of the literature which I read, even we are at par with a country like France. As you must be knowing, France is one country where the private roads are available since ages. So there this toll road is a very common phenomena, whereas in India now we made it 60 kilometer, every 60 kilometer tolling has become an order of the day, and it is the technology which is implemented is also a foolproof one. Maybe still 80% people have adapted to the toll system, 20% people have not adapted, but this is one level which we have really made a big leap at par with the developed world, I suppose. So this is one of the best example we can take, like how much successful governance can also play a role in implementing ITS. And also another thing is this GPS based operation, trucking operation, which some of the companies, middle level companies and top level companies have gone in for vigilant monitoring of their tolls, of their goods being transported. So that has also really playing its role in terms of trying to understand you are able to move your goods in a more effective manner, or you can do a mobilization of the things if you want to add one more things. So those are the various technologies which have played success stories and which we can take you out of it for a further implementation of other things. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Wilmurugan, Dr. Wilmurugan. In fact, the FASTag and the electronic toll collection should be our the model, like which we can implement across the country, and it is a very successful model for India. Sir, with that background, again to Dr. Vinay Goyal, smart city projects related to NMD and road improvement seems to remain as area-specific individual projects devoid of interconnections with its surrounding corridors alone. Will this affect the extent of utilization of such projects which have been developed with heavy investments? In fact, it is not going to the full city, it is concentrated only to a part of or the projects alone.
So again, an important question, and this has been one of the main challenge for us working in Smart City Trivandrum. So if you either belong to Trivandrum, like Dr. Samson told, he is from Trivandrum, C-DAC team is from mostly from Trivandrum, or if you even ever visited Trivandrum. So biggest challenge of Trivandrum or Kerala per se is the availability of space. So we don't have free spaces. So, and then when we come to project implementation, this becomes a very big challenge, especially non-motorized transport or creating tracks for cyclists. I happened to visit Ahmedabad on one of my trips. So there we have beautiful Sabarmati riverfront. It's quite a long where you can do cycling, you can go for walking, running, yoga activities. Trivandrum, we can't even imagine that. Even our road width is very, very narrow. This right of way is very, very less for Trivandrum. around 10 days back, I was having a meeting with our MP, Shashi Tharoor sir. So he also told he's planning to raise this even in Parliament also, this right of way for national highways in Kerala. Automatically it has to be reduced. So this is one big challenge for us, but wherever possible, smart cities again trying to incorporate all these concepts in our project. So whenever we are going for a park redevelopment or a roadside project, we're trying to implement all these things. We have a very active group of cyclists in Trivandrum, but again the issue is where will they cycle? So starting from children to the senior citizen. So last year we experimented with a 10-kilometer cycle track, and the feedback which we got was very, very positive. So again, this has started a kind of a debate in Trivandrum circle to have a dedicated corridor for cyclists. We have even written to government, maybe we have to go with some innovative solutions, like in morning hours when the traffic is very, very less, peak hour traffic density, one side of road can be earmarked for cyclists. So that is one challenge, of course, I would freely admit we are facing while implementing our projects. And with respect to junction development, wherever we are encountering, we are in partnering with the parent department also, PWD is the major stakeholder as far as road development is concerned. So whenever we are going for development of smart roads, we are consulting with them. PWD is taking care of the major roads of the city, and the smaller roads, smart city is taking care of in the form of building smart roads, and it involves junction improvement also. So it's a holistic development which we are planning and to take it in the future.
Thank you, Dr. Vinay. In fact, I just wanted to supplement that, Sabarmati, since you mentioned that there is a small miniature form is there at Karamana. I don't know whether you have visited that one. A small model is developed there, and one good project is coming up in Kerala is the coastal highway. Along with that one, we are proposing a exclusive cycle track throughout the length, 580 kilometer length along the seashore that is coming up. Sir, now you have a lot of idea for the coming future. Okay, that's why I just started from what is that the MIT is doing at present, and from this panelist you got enough ideas.
Yeah.
And what is your plan for the next maybe 5 years or the immediate or what can be your future by considering all these inputs to you?
Thanks to all fellow speakers. Really, actually, I would like to say here, over the years, the MIT has supported a large number of projects, and today we have got a state-of-the-art infrastructure for carrying out research, especially in intelligent transportation and implementing area. Almost all different organizations, academia, and all place a lot of infrastructure ready, and the capacity building in the same area has also been carried out. So we are ready and we are open to have research ideas and clear-cut definition what exactly needed for our country in ITS domain. That can definitely be taken care by the ministry, and immediately some of the area which are in our eyes and some work is also happening. These are actually development of autonomous vehicle in a very limited domain, which can play an important role by providing complete control to the vehicle in a very limited domain. Especially we are first considering for the agriculture, and then maybe for the small transportation area, and also we are taking to the fruit, especially the apple culture kind of a thing. So that we are planning. We also have idea to bring a lot of safety to the travelers, especially to the women travelers when they are in the public vehicles or public transport, so that they can call for help immediately whenever they feel unsafe. And then we have got some solutions for the disabled, especially when on the busy road and they want to cross the road, or they have got what kind of disability they have, that can be assessed accordingly. The red light or the green signal can be controlled. So those kind of things are there already in mind, and we are always open to have the contact with the industry and some of our industry partners and others, we are in touch, constantly in touch with them, and we are getting feedback for further improvement of the new things required. So the work will continue. Yeah.
Thank
you. Yeah.
Thank you, Tarashin ji. In fact, yesterday night when we were discussing, in my campus, native Trichy, now he implemented like lesson a successful straight line these things and all. When he mentioned that, he was behind it. I was a person implemented their lesson. I was happy to have him with him. And so he, the Metic can do a lot of lesson, the industry related or like lesson, the public related things. You can do that one. Thank you for your support and the points. Now it's open to the audience. Probably we can, of course, Ashish Varma, he has already left because he has to catch the flight. Maybe some questions we can, it's open to the audience.
Yeah, I have a question. This question is to Geeta Krishnan.
Yeah.
So, as you know, n number of smart cities, SPVs are there, and CEOs are facing challenges in understanding or fixing the KPIs for each of the ITMS component or whatever thing they are planning to implement. So they are going behind different POCs for each and every component and all what they want to select and all those things, and which is costing, basically cost and time is a major thing, and they are not able to utilize the funds because of various issues. So, and implementing any ITS is not just a software thing that we can just showcase and then we can say that it works and it doesn't work and those kind of things. So from your perspective, which is the best methodology that any implementing agency like smart cities, or it can be an urban body or those things, what is the kind of platform they should set up, no? So before identifying the right component which suits that particular city, no? Because from Delhi, there will be some 100 components, they may say, what is required for that particular city. Maybe we can discuss and across the table we can, but finally when it gets implemented only we can understand the impact. So what should be the methodology that should be adopted, or there can be a direction from MAO or from where it is, so that the SPVs can be empowered, no? To evaluate that and to prioritize the technology that needs to be implemented and what is the KPI that needs to be, so that they need to finally at the end of the day it has to be evaluated what is the impact, cost and benefit analysis, whether actually it has improved the livelihood of citizens. So those things, different parameters has to be evaluated, because now I don't know whether each smart city has, maybe some of the smart cities might be doing it, but at the end of the day the implementing agency or any contractors or MSIs, they don't know what they are looking at it. So they will just follow the RFP specifications and some solutions are getting implemented. So what is the suggestion from maybe this panel side? What is required, what kind of platform needs to be set up? Maybe it can be a cloud platform as well set up at Delhi or wherever it is, so that each of the smart cities can make use of those things.
Shall I?
Yeah, it's a question to you only.
No, but with the permission of the chair. So
I give permission to the audience.
Okay. I think very, very important, question that has been brought up, right? So I'm part of the technical evaluation panel in Chennai Smart City, and Vijay was here. They are the consultants who are drawing up the specification. One of the biggest challenges has been balancing. We usually put in tender that the company should have already implemented 100 signals, 250 signals, and so on, right? Once we put such large numbers, only international companies become eligible. Only international technology becomes eligible. And we know from our experience working in ITS over the last 10 years, in the ITS lab at IIT Madras, my colleagues are here, you can't plug and play. You cannot take technology from somewhere, put it in here and hope it will work, right? So, and this is going to be a major concern, right? Going forward, we are going to learn in a costly way that many of the things are not necessarily going to work. But it is not all failure. I think it is a lesson that we are learning, but that is the price we pay when we go very fast with implementing things. With respect to know how we can measure, and there are standard ways to measure. In fact, ITS itself is a way to measure. ITS will enable us to evaluate what happened before, what happens after, right? The sensors we put, right? So ITS will bring in those metrics with which we can do cost-benefit analysis. So that's going to be an advantage. But what metrics? How do you measure? There are no standards. IRC has standards for roads, your pavement, your footpath, all of that. But ITS standards are very minimal. There is, I would say, in fact, none. So there is a need to bring standards. I know BAS is doing a lot of work in this aspect. They are trying to bring in some standards. But I think we need a larger engagement, and we need to have more clear guidelines of how we can evaluate different projects. So that has to be done. One way to do that, I think, is one thing that has happened in the last 10 to 12 years through the Intrans project is we have multiple experts who have learned how to work with ITS. If we can bring them together, and then Velmurugan sir had done this project for highway capacity manual for India. The same way, can we have a ITS manual for India? If we can develop that, I think everybody can benefit. So that's something that can be taken up. That's one possibility. The second thing I want to highlight is ITS is interdisciplinary. I've often talked about how there are no traffic engineers in the police department or in the urban local bodies to assist with traffic management. Right. So in the same way, smart cities need to have ITS engineers who are interdisciplinary. Right. That know-how should be internal. If they are there, then there will be a way to sustain the learning, the knowledge, and they will be able to carry things forward. In fact, they'll feel ownership. I am reminded of, my colleagues may know there is an engineer in the US by the name Peter Kuhns, right? So he is an ITS engineer, and he completely owns projects. He's so passionate about it, and he goes about implementing in multiple places. So if we have such people in each of our smart city, who are passionate about this area and who have the technical background, they will be able to sustain things further. So capacity building and ensuring that capacity is absorbed in these smart city SPVs may be one way we can ensure continuity. So these are a few thoughts that come to my mind right now, sir.
I was just thinking about, can we have some kind of platform, like digital twin or those kind of things, through which maybe the SPVs can evaluate the various technologies at a cost-effective manner before implementing. What will be the impact and all those kind of things. So that can also be another.
Absolutely.
But it is very costly.
So I think
each of the SPVs cannot go and buy that.
Yes, that's why we need something centralized, right? So that's why I was talking about manuals for ITS, right? So that will actually come out of developing these digital twins, right? So we have these digital twin, we implement in that, we evaluate in that, and then give solutions what will work for a particular city, for a particular context, right? So I think yes.
So if that platform can be made available for the SPVs
Definitely.
from the central ministry,
yes,
I think it would be very useful for the SPVs to roll out different ITMS or whatever smart city projects what they want to roll out. So at the end of the day, it can be measured whether actually when we started, the expected KPIs are met or not.
In fact, not only I was at Mahua yesterday, and I was talking to the director there, and the same question they were asking. How do we evaluate? How do we know a particular project is really going to give the benefit that is claimed? And I think that is where we need to have this kind of a digital twin, which will enable us to simulate it even before doing it in the real world, right? So we know what is the impact, and then we implement technologies that will give us the right benefit.
And the
completely.
Input parameters should be customized for each and every city
Definitely,
that we are
yes.
trying to implement.
I was working as a consultant. We were all busy preparing the specification and the tenders. And in the round one cities, no one knew that standard specification. Created something called a Smart Net portal was created, and all the best RFPs and standards were uploaded online. So any of these cities, SPVs could access them and download the best RFP which they thought that is the most, which is most suitable for all. But then there was this issue that it has to be customized to the city. I also set up an expert team in ministry. For ICCC there was a dedicated team. For various projects there was a dedicated team. So they would come to the cities and help to tailor this specification as per the city's requirement. But that lost track by 2018. So that phase, and then cities like us, Trivandrum, we were selected in the round 3. By the time we are now making our specification and tenders, we have lost track.
No, I was not talking about the specification. Can be anything, that's okay. So once you implement that specifications and requirements for your city, so whether it actually brings the benefit that you are expecting at the beginning of the project. So that should be measurable before the project starts or before you float an RFP. And we should be able to measure that at the end of the project and say that, okay, this is the benefit we have got. So we need to have some platform by which we can evaluate, and which is a very costly platform.
So that's why they created this output framework, this thing also, where there are certain parameters which are fixed in the beginning, and at the end of the project we had to quantify and reduction in the accidents or reduction in the pedestrian route. There were various factors. We had to pull in all these numbers and then they would do data crunching and tell us if it was valid or not. Somewhere we have lost track of that. So from 2018 or so. Today morning also when we met Kunal sir, I was telling him that SmartNet needs to be activated. A lot of these cities which have been selected post 2018-19 are lost.
So just to add to that, I think that SmartNet was a static SmartNet. What we need is a living digital twin where we can see for ourselves what will be the impact, and so we need something much more dynamic. And so
thank you. Any one more quick question? Anybody online is there? Okay. Sundar ma'am, because listen, you are supposed to sit here and listen. Okay, and you only initiated that, and probably listen. You can conclude now.
Yeah, actually, it has been a very interesting and very informative panel for me. We have all distinguished speakers from very different backgrounds, and everyone giving their own perspectives. And I think in these 2 days, we have had some speakers and some topics which really need a very good discussion. And I hope C-DAC will be coming out with a report back session or a report so that we can actually look at what is the take and what are the actions that are required seriously to go ahead. So this is what the conference is meant for, not only in networking also and showcasing the technology. Besides that, the way forward, and I think it is all together. The teamwork has to be there. We have to come together to actually make it happen. And I think this has been a very good initiative in that direction. And I hope we have the implementers, the planners, the executioners, everyone here under one roof, and we can take it forward, and not only for the present problems and challenges, but for the future directions also. Thank you.
Thank you, Sundar ma'am, Dr. Sundar. Thank you all. My sincere thanks to the panelists in beyond my expectation. They have come out with good concepts, good experience, and good suggestions. Naturally, this networking is required even for the future also. And actually, this area, this particular technology is a interdisciplinary one, not only electronics or the IT or the computer or the civil or even now even transportation. Probably it's an interdisciplinary one. Probably we all will work together, and so that our cities or our population or the community will be benefited. Thank you all. Thank you, Goodavishna. Thank you, Vinay Goyal sir. Thank you. Welcome again. Ashish Varma, in fact, he left because he has to catch the flight. And respected Tarashin Garcia, thank you for your guidance. Thank you all. And thank you to the organizers for giving an opportunity like this. And thank you all.
Thank you, sir. I request all the panel members to be in the dais itself, and I request Srimati Sunitha Varma Madam to hand over the mementos to all the panel members. First, I request Dr. Samson Matthew sir to collect the memento from Madam. Next, Tarashin Garcia. Vail Murugan sir. Dr. Geeta Krishnan sir. Dr. Vinay Goyal. Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am. Let him get over. Vote of thanks. പറയടേ പോയി പറ. Now I request Sadish ji sir to formally deliver the vote of thanks.
So before delivering the vote of thanks, I think that all the participants will agree that the topics and the session that we have framed for this conference is mostly in line with the ITS requirements of today and tomorrow, or for the next 10 to 15 years at least. So I think we have set the context to work on for a further for future projects in this area. And also we had a very good domain experts and a network of maybe domain experts from various disciplines, from academy, industry, from R&D, and all this type of organization which is required to tackle the local needs that is prevailing in our Indian conditions. So let me thank first of all all the dignitaries. I think already the vote of thanks has been given, but still all the dignitaries that were who were available during the inaugural session, basically. So basically the AS and the GC who have actually spent time, maybe even though they had only 1 hour of time, but I think it went on for 2 hours, and AS was very interested even after 2 hours to visit the stalls and spend some time in get to knowing about each of every products that we have developed, and he was very interested in seeing all these products go to the field for deployment, and maybe we need to do a large-scale commercialization of these products. So that is one essential thing that C-DAC now should take a lead role in doing the things. And also we had a very good keynote speakers, basically Satish Ukkuseri. He physically traveled, actually, even though he was on his personal visit from US. So I would like to thank him, and Professor Kinja. He is our NSE chairman and all, but still he was there physically. Yesterday, whole day he was available for us, so that we had lot of discussions and how to move forward and all. We had discussions with him. And Sunita madam, she is a driver for the entire ITS and various other programs, so at least she could spend some of her time for the ITS initiatives what we are doing. And Kamlesh is anyway there as a convener and taking. And Tarashin Garcia, I think, started the initiatives of way back in 2007, 8 and all, so it has to come down this shape. So, and other dignitaries, and our DG was also there, so immediately, and this was his first function after taking over charge. So I was so happy that he was there physically available for the 2 days fully. So I would take this opportunity to thank all the dignitaries who were available during the inaugural session, and also the speakers, the international speakers, and the speakers from the academics and the project team speakers who handle all the technical sessions. I think it was very relevant, and they have shared the research experience and the work experience that has been carried out. And so I thank all the speakers, and also we had in the final round, we had a good round of discussion by the panelists headed by Dr. Samson Matthew. I didn't think that he was so a good moderator in setting up a platform for everyone to discuss, so that the discussion went very focused, and also that everybody could have a good maybe answer, or a good discussion has happened during the panel discussion. And so that, and it was very apt for the today's challenges and opportunities in the transportation domain. And I also thank the active participation from the academic, the partnering academic institutes like the IITs and the IIT Madras, IIT Bombay, and ISU, who have physically traveled here, and they have shared their thoughts on the work experience that they have carried out as part of the entrance program. And above all, I need to thank our National Steering Committee and the Project Steering and the Project Review Committee members. So some of them are have been here physically, but others are online as well as. So I should thank them for their valuable advice and other maybe advice in our R&D activities, and basically in giving the advice in realizing our R&D activities into commercial products and how to take it to the field. So I thank all the NSE and PRC members at this time. And I also thank the mighty, maybe not only Sunita madam and whoever are here, but other mighty officials who are behind the show, like the finance and other project division in MITI, who are supporting this ITS initiatives, so that our projects can go well in a smooth way. So thank that. And also the Habitat Center officials who are in the logistic support for the entire two-day conference.
And last but not the least, I would also thank all my colleagues who are here along with me and maybe offline also at C-DAC, the entire C-DAC team, who has been supporting in arranging this conference in a very short time and making all the logistics and in supporting me and making this conference a grand success. Because since if it was in Trivandrum, I didn't have much of a worry. Being in Delhi, I think Kamlesh and Mohit is another major, major contributor. So he is part of the C-DAC team, in fact. I will not count him as a mighty this thing. He is part of the C-DAC team. So as a PME member, he has also contributed a lot. And so I'll thank the two TOT partners who are physically available here. From Envoice, Mr. Virod Punranik is there, and Jitendra Kaushik from Onyx Electronics is there, and all other TOT partners who are available online, so that they can support C-DAC and also support in taking all these products what is being developed to take it to the market. And yeah, I think I covered everyone. Yeah, thank you all for your active participation and cooperation for the two-day program. So let us close this and let us look for new projects, and maybe we have to take the ideas and the recommendations of the panels so that we can look into new projects and evolve new projects, have some brainstorming sessions, and maybe we'll go to the secretary for taking up new projects. Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
I would just like to say that Satish ji has worked very well. This conference has been organized very well at very short notice. We did not think of it taking it to such a scale. So he's worked day and night along with his team, the C-DAC team which has come.
No,
yes, along with
it's a C-DAC team who has worked. I was just behind them or leading them. I was just leading them because we were more confident in having it in Trivandrum. Even CEO Trivandrum, why are you having it in Delhi? Why not in Trivandrum? Then I told Mighty, it's a Mighty program. So they want it. If they want in any city, we are ready to do in that city.
Yes.
So it's
so
that.
We have requested you and taken
and unless
taken up our request, so that thank you for that and organizing it so well.
Unless we have it in Delhi, we will not have the dignitaries so in Trivandrum and all. That is the main thing, because we wanted to have secretary actually, but unfortunately we couldn't get him. Yes. And we wanted also
applause for him and his team.
thank you very much. Thank you.